Hey everybody, Satyrion Leafspar here. This is going to be a comparison, review, and Q&A over the Our Generation Rafael and the American Girl Logan 18-inch dolls that I recently got a couple of days ago. Well, back in March, late March, towards the 1st of April. I posted a thing in my Instagram so people could ask me some general questions, which will tie into the Q&A, which will be towards the very end of this video. I don't know why I'm pointing that way. Hopefully the scrubber, I think that's actually what it's called, is going in that direction. But I'm going to start at the very top of the dolls and work my way down as I go through the review and the comparison of these guys, and kind of give you my thoughts and opinions as I have played with them, taken pictures of them, dressed and undressed them. I do have, if you are curious, I've got both of these guys back in their box clothing. So if you was to purchase, go out and purchase either one of these boys, this is the factory clothing that you would receive. To get started, I will say, standard price point. Normally I do not discuss pricing, but I do think it's important in this video if I kind of give you a general guidelines or a general price point as to what these guys would on average cost, or what you can expect as a general price point as to what these guys would normally cost. So with the Our Generation guy, or Our Generation dolls in general, they run between $24 and $29 and change. If you pick them up in the store, obviously there's no shipping, but you're just gonna pay tax. With the American Girl girls or boys, you're looking at between $115 and up, because they have like limited edition and special edition dolls. But like the Logan was $115, even though he is a named doll with story, as compared to a Truly Me, which does not have a name. Those dolls are meant to be a just like me, so they would not give them a name. It's hopefully you can find one with your eye color, your hair color, and you can make it just like you. But those run $115, just like Logan. I think it's kind of their base price. So you're looking at anywhere between $24 and $115. That's the biggest difference between these two guys, is price point. I will say that he is 18 inches almost on the mark. Now the next guy here, the Our Generation, he's 18.5 inches, if that really matters to you. So I've got these guys pretty close together. My work surface is a tiny bit uneven because of a mat, but he is just a touch taller, half an inch taller. But I think that's because he's got more of a neck, whereas the Our Generation, or the American Girl, not so much. So if that really matters to you as far as height goes, for whatever reason, that is a thing. I do have my tablet here for the questions, and it is making noise, so I am going to cut off the noise. Continuing to just kind of, because I went with height, working my way down, I will say the hair, for whatever particular reason, I don't know if it's because this is a shorter hair and this is a longer hair, the Our Generation does have much softer hair, even though I had to spend probably 30 to 45 minutes brushing it out to get the glue or gel, whatever was in it, out before the softness kind of came back to it, than the American Girl. It's more coarse because it is short. I mean, this is a very short wig all the way around, as compared to this boy, who does have, you know, it's a very shiny, it's a very nice, but it is rooted. If you can see down in there, this is not a wig, this is a rooted hair. Whereas, I don't know if there's really a way for me to show you without really disturbing it. This is, from everything that I have been able to research so far, this is a wig. This is completely and utterly glued on. I'm trying to look at the camera. This is glued on, whereas this is rooted hair. Maybe that has something to do with it. But the hair quality does seem different. Maybe, again, like I said, this is shorter hair, this is longer hair, this is more coarse, this is longer. The next thing I'd really like to point out, and this is something that I noticed, this is a chubbier face, whereas this is a thinner, narrow face with a more pronounced see if I can get both of these guys in the camera with a profile shot. He's got a more pronounced chin and jawline. He's got a rounder face and it's chubbier. It's more childlike, this one here, the American Girl. So if you're trying to accomplish, or you're wanting a older character, doll, whatever, I think that would be more easily accomplished with the Our Generation dolls, because visually, I think that exists in the Our Generation as compared to the American Girl dolls, just with how they're made and how they're sculpted. Moving right along inside the face, and I'm going to hold on to him just a moment. Both of them do have, tilt him back entirely for a moment. Yeah, he's, as you can tell, they both have the sleeping eye. They're not really going to let me do it so you can see it on camera, but they both have the sleeping eyes, so that when they are in the laid back, I don't know if I can do this with one hand. I don't have them on their doll stands. They both have sleeping eyes, so that when they're laid back, their eyes do close. For that matter. As far as the outfits go, different dolls, different clothes. The quality is good between the American Girl and the My Life and the Our Generation. It's really hard to pick and choose between them and to pick on them for their clothing. I wouldn't say there's really much difference as far as the clothing goes. I will say fabric choice between them, there's a little higher quality in the American Girl fabrics than with some of the My Life stuff, and I've seen some really poor choices with American Girl and better choices in My Life. That's a mixed bag. As we move right along with this whole deal, when it comes to articulation, both groups of dolls, and I think this is kind of unanimous regardless of the gender choice, they are both fully articulated. I'll try to do this. I really need a table in front of me, but I don't have one, so we'll make do. Are articulated in generally the same way, but there are some exceptions. So this guy is completely articulated at the arms going forward and back. There is no outward movement other than the fact that it's pushing into the fabric, which I'll really get into when I undress them, which I'm going to undress them so that you can very specifically see how the bodies are different, because the bodies are different. Speaking of which, we're going to go ahead and get into that now so that you can see how the bodies are different, because I think it's important when we start talking about articulation and what they do differently. because they are different. Both boys do by default come with a pair of underwear of sorts. So the American Girl boy comes with a pair of, which you're about to see, gray boxers. That look like this. They have a large tag sewn onto the side. And if you feel so inclined to remove this ginormous tag, and you have found my channel as a small child, please find adult assistance in removing that, because it is located directly into a seam, and if you rip that seam in the process of removing that tag, you will damage your doll and you will lose stuffing in the process, and you will have to get additional assistance repairing it. For the sake of the video, there is no need to remove their underwear for you to see exactly what I'm talking about. So both boys will be keeping their underwear on. I do not care for the underwear that came with the Our Generation boy, but I will say that I appreciate the fact that they came with underwear. The ginormous multi-tags that he came with, also located directly in a seam line. So with him articulated in the arm as well as the legs, both legs are articulated, and turning at the head with no stop. Oh, much like I wanted to explain, the arm will not go out, as it just pushes directly into the cotton body. With the American Girl, same deal with the articulation. I'm gonna get so you get a different type of articulation here. There is a bit of a swivel into this socket, and if you feel here, this is stiff, allowing the arm to swivel into this joint. And the very same thing exists, and unfortunately he's gonna have to lose his underwear for this. You get the exact same thing that exists inside the leg, and you can actually see it here. So that means there's more articulation that exists inside the American Girl, which means when he sits, he gets a forward sitting position. With the Our Generation, that is not possible. He's going to spread his legs because that joint does not exist. He's by nature going to swivel his legs outward just because of how the joint is designed in the Our Generation. Come on. It can also make self-standing a little more of a challenge. I'm going to slide his underwear back on. so he can maintain a touch of decency throughout this process. I find that I do like the articulation a little more in the American Girl, but I like the more masculine, not masculine, the more mature sculpt of the Our Generation doll a little better. So, what I mean by self-standing, whenever you place like the American Girl doll, it's very easy to just plant their feet and rock their hips and force self-standing, whereas with these guys, it's not quite so much. The eyelashes, and I didn't mean to kind of skip over this, and hopefully you'll be able to see this. The eyelashes on this guy look as such. They're not quite as full, and to me they're more boyish. This is kind of what I mean about self-standing. He's also not wearing shoes. Shoes help considerably with standing. The eyelashes on this guy are very, very full. They're solid. There you go. These are more feminine to me. And I'm sure it's just because they use the exact same eyes they use on both dolls. I do know that one of the questions that I was asked, because I'm going to go ahead and move into the Q&A section as we've hit 17 minutes. One of the questions that I was asked was directly from a YouTube video by C7 Even. Is that how you say your thing? I think. Was which one do I like more? Realistically, it's mixed. Like, there are things that I like about both of them. I really prefer the more mature sculpt of the Our Generation. I really prefer the posability of the American Girl. And I didn't really mean to skip over this, but I kind of saw in the viewfinder and looked back here. You can tell dramatically in the cloth body, this is a more realistic body. This is a tube. This is just a simple tube body with almost no definition, where they gave this kind of a shoulder and arm. It does taper back in, and this becomes hips. We're going to kind of drag this down a little bit. This is the back. Stand. Stand. Same thing with this guy. Given he does have a backside, he does have a shape. But realistically, you know, I do applaud them for the skin matching from vinyl to cloth. But this is a tube. They did try with this one to give the cloth a shape in the shoulder, the side. The back side doesn't have much here, but I think this looks better. But once you get them in clothes, you really can't tell, if we're fair. I didn't mean to skip over that. I'm going to open up that post real quick and see what we've got. I know it's not many questions. So Joshy Bear Huggy asks, what is the quality like between the two? I would say like if you feel the vinyl, I can't feel a difference in the vinyl quality in the arms and legs. But in the head, the vinyl feels thinner in this head as compared to this head. You can push in on this head. It's squishy. Not like super squishy. I don't mean it to make it sound like you can just squish it in. But this head feels heavier and thicker. To say that this doll feels cheap, no. This doll does not feel cheap. I think it's a appropriate and good buy for $24. I definitely don't regret the purchase by any stretch. If I had never got him, would I be happy with a $24 doll? Absolutely. The Resin Folks is also curious about quality because they have, I'm going to think it's Maple Leah dolls in Canada. And like I said, you know, I think the quality is really, really good with the Our Generation dolls by Batat. The finishing on all of the stitching through here is really, really good. The neck is finished off entirely. I have nothing to complain about with these dolls whatsoever. I think for $24 and some change, it is appropriately priced and it is a good quality. And sorry, fuzz. The face is painted well. There's no paint outside the, I'm not going to say lines, but the lip paint is where the lip paint belongs. The eyebrows aren't derpy. The eyes are lined up, given they're in sockets, but like the eyes were put in straight. The hair looks good. It's full, it's thick. You can't see the scalp. So that's something else, and I don't think I touched on it, given it's not been so long that I've already forgotten what I've talked about. But both of their hair, it's full, it's thick. There's no bald spots. As far as that goes, I'm really pleased with both of them and their hair. His hair's just more coarse, his hair's more soft. I was asked about height, which I touched on that as part of the review. Those are really the only two questions that I've got. And I think that's because I don't have a lot of 18-inch doll followers, which that's totally fine. If any more questions come up, please feel free to just let me know in the description box or in the comment section down below. I'll be more than happy to try to answer them. I don't know how much these guys are going to be featured on my channel, as I talk mostly about BJDs. Who knows what's going to happen, just like on my Instagram feed. We'll see, but I'm enjoying them. Hope everyone has a great rest of the night. Love yourself, love each other, love your dolls, everybody else's too. Bye.